What is going on, everybody? We are finally back again. We are going to be discussing the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 5. Now, first off, if you guys have not watched Episode 5 yet, go ahead, check it out. Let me know what you guys thought about it. But at the same time, I personally think this was probably either the best episode of the Book of Boba Fett or one of them, because this episode really ties in between Mandalorian Season 2 slash Mandalorian. Between Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, because we see in the beginning Mando comes in, he's trying to get a bounty, and it's these dog-like creatures, and you know how Mando is, he's getting his bounty pretty much from like the very first episode in the season of Mandalorian. Now, what was really cool about this is he actually used the Darksaber in this episode a lot, to where he's still learning how to control it. He's having a very hard time learning to control it. He's having a hard time trying to gain a grasp on it, so to speak. And he accidentally injures himself while he is trying to take down the guards as well as kill the boss. Now, he does kill them all, and unfortunately he does wound himself, and he's on a unique ringside planet. Now, we do get to see where he goes, collects his bounty, he's trying to find information, and we're not exactly sure what kind of information that he's looking for, but then it gets revealed that he was actually looking for the other Mandalorians to try to find them, the ones from the first season, the armor, and the big armor Mandalorian, which actually his name is Praz Vizsla, so he is a Vizsla family member. And when he comes in, we see where Mando, he's hurt bad, and the armor, she's sitting down, and she says, okay. She says, get him fixed, and when that happens, we see where he actually tells them this is what happened, because, to the Darksaber, and she starts going into detail about how old it is, how Mandalorians attained it, how they lost it, and what we see is he even tells her how he defeated Moff Gideon, as well as they're wanting to rebuild their order due to what happened. There's only 3 of them left. So it's only the armor, the big Mandalorian, Praz Vizsla, as well as one more, to my knowledge, if I understood it correctly. So there are a few left, but actually what was really interesting in this is when they start talking, he starts talking about how Moff Gideon got arrested. He's going to be going on trial against the Republic for his crimes. And then when he gives the spear to the armor, because she says that you should be more concentrating on the Darksaber, he even explains that he met Jedi and how he returned Grogu to his own kind, and she says, so you completed your mission, you should be able to come back. And he wants her to, which I think it was a good idea, but at the same time I didn't agree with it, how he wanted her to get rid of, well, not really get rid of, more like contain the Beskar that was used for it, because she says it's not used for weapons, it's used for armor. So again, we are going into more of their own ideas for this particular, I would say, tribe of the Mandalorians, because they have their own views, just like how Bo-Katan had her own views on the other Mandalorians, how they were very cultural, how they thought you can't take off your mask, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. So it was really crazy, because we even get to see a look of what happened to Mandalore, the Siege of Mandalore, which they didn't really show much. They basically went into how there was dropping bombs on Mandalore, and then you show the droids. And again, a lot of people have been comparing this, which I will personally agree, had a very big Terminator vibe to it. So I think that was highly involved in this, because again, with the way that they did that, the Siege of Mandalore, I really want to see that. Everybody's like, well, where's that movie at? Where's that episode at? I personally would love to see that. I would love to see the Siege of Mandalore, of what happened exactly, of the whole details of who survived. Obviously, there could be multiple survivors of the Siege of Mandalore, because I think a lot of people, including myself, want to see how the Mandalorians went up against the massive might of the Empire at that time. And we even get to see the armor tell him that they didn't even last 30 years, but the Mandalorians have been around for over 10,000. So when this happens, she starts explaining that, and then he gets, I would say, some kind of pieces made from the spear for Grogu, and it gets made and he hands it to him. Now, there could be one or two things that I think this is going to be. I think it's going to be something for either Grogu for possible armor, or possible something for his hilt, or when he has a lightsaber made for him, or when he makes his lightsaber. Those are the only two I can think of as of right now. But then when they start going into the Darksaber, when they start training, the armor says you're fighting against it. You're not using your own, you're going up against it rather than letting it overtake you. And when that happens, we see where Vizsla, he actually challenges Mando, and they go into a big fight. Now, Mando almost loses. He does get his ass kicked. He comes very close to losing. Then he actually gets the upper hand on him because Vizsla takes it, and then right when this happens, he's about ready to go for the kill. The armor stops it, and she asks them both if either one of you taken off your helmets. Unfortunately, Mando has, and she says, well, now you're no longer a Mandalorian. He says, how do I atone? She's saying if you go to the mines of Mandalore, you'll be able to do that. And he says, well, how? He says, if they're already been destroyed. So pretty much she's stating that he's no longer a Mandalorian, even though he actually is. That's just the way that they're thinking due to of everything of their own creed. So what we see is he starts to leave the ringside planet for Tatooine. He has to, unfortunately, engage with a droid to put all of his weapons onto the ship before he even exits. And when that happens, he does come across a little child, so he starts thinking about Grogu more. And then when he does get to the planet, he goes and he finds the Mos Eisley garage girl that was in Mandalorian Season 1 on Tatooine, where she's trying to shoot Womp Rats. So this is the first time we've seen Womp Rats on Star Wars since 97 or 77, since the first time that they actually showed this, which I'm very happy that they finally did, because after so long, it's been finally time that they show something that they've been talking about for years, and especially when they've been talking about this for so long. And then we see where instead of a Razor Crest that he was promised, he's actually given another ship that looks very familiar. What did Anakin fly in Phantom Menace? That is the type that he's now going to get, even though it needs to be customized and rebuilt. She says that with the help of him, it can be rebuilt. So it kind of goes over to the time of how exactly they're going to be able to get it fixed. So with the help of Jawas, and with her bringing up this use to date a Jawa, then she knows how to get parts from the Jawas for a good price, as well as other things, like going through her trash or whatever. So it's actually kind of interesting of how they actually go through this, and we see him and her going through trying to rebuild the ship, of what he needs, how he wants to customize it, now how she wants it. But we do see where it later gets revealed more about the Pikes, how the Pikes are taking more territory since they've landed onto Tatooine, and how the cops didn't want to do anything about it, and how no one's really wanting to take control. So it kind of does get edged on to what's going on. And then finally, when everything's said and done, Mando's about ready to take a test drive on the brand new ship, and when it happens, he actually goes the same way that we saw the race in Phantom Menace. So that was a beautiful scene. There was a lot of throwback to the very first film in this scene, to Phantom Menace. There was major amounts of throwback to it. So if you guys really enjoyed Phantom Menace, you'll enjoy a lot of these scenes that was in this episode. There was a lot of throwback to Episode 1, so I personally enjoyed that. I mean, I went to see it in theaters, so I remember watching that scene with Anakin when he was in the pod race. I remember seeing that, and I was like, oh man, this is so cool. And I just thought it was really amazing to see that. And then we also got to see where he actually goes up in space, and he actually goes against the civil transport, and he does something that's actually kind of funny. He goes and he actually gets stopped by Republic ships, and they start asking him questions, and even though it's above the radar and he can't really show a lot of personal, like, oh, this is my ship, this is this, and that is that, one of the Republic soldiers there, he recognized his voice. He said, well, did you use a Razor Crest? And when he started adding up the dots, Mando just pressed a button. He was able to get out of there. Now, when he comes back, he is mentioned that someone was looking for him. Guess who? Fennec Shin. Now, there is a scene where he basically tells her, he says, well, what does he need? What's the job? She says, no bounty, just need muscle. And he says, for Boba. She says he would really appreciate it. And he says, no, tell him it's on the house. So what we see is she says, okay, he says, but first, he says, I got to visit a little friend. So we all know that he's going to visit Grogu. He misses him. He wants to see him. Just don't know where he's at. I'm kind of wondering when exactly that we are going to be seeing him, and also of how long this is, like, what's the time frame. I want to say maybe a month or two, maybe a few months, if that, I want to say. But I am looking forward to seeing how they're going to do that, as well as also what may happen to Grogu, what may have happened to Mando during this time frame, and also obviously we're going to be seeing him again in the Book of Boba Fett, possibly for the next episode, even the season finale. Which again, we're only 2 episodes away now for Book of Boba Fett. We only have 2 more episodes, unfortunately, which really sucks because again, it's just now starting to get really good, and it's going to be really interesting of who else they try to bring from muscle to help Boba now that we're going to have Mando. Are we going to be seeing any other kind of Mandalorians? Are they going to get Bo-Katan? Are they going to get anybody else that's possibly Mandalorian, maybe that Jen knows, to help? But either way, I personally enjoy this episode. I'm really looking forward to seeing Mando ally himself with Boba Fett. Obviously, he's going to ally himself because he owes him still for helping him with Grogu, saving him from Moff Gideon. So again, it's going to be pretty interesting to see where we're going to go from here, especially in the universe of Star Wars now with Mando as well as Boba. Now again, I know a lot of people have not been enjoying the Book of Boba Fett, but it's actually building up, and it's a good thing that they're building up now more. And this was a big piece from Mandalorian season 2 to now, so now we got to see what happened, as well as also what he's been doing. He's been going back to bounty hunting. He was trying to find his own kind. Now he's on his own once again, and now he has to not only see Grogu but give him something, as well as ally himself with Boba Fett, and then go from there. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this is going to set up for Mandalorian season 3, which I'm pretty sure it will. But either way, what did you guys think about this episode? I know I personally liked it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fight scenes. I enjoyed the scene with the Mandalorians, seeing them again, exactly what happened to them, especially on Endor. I also really enjoyed seeing the testing of the ship back to the pod racing scene, Phantom Menace. Loved it. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments. Sorry for the late review. Been busy today. Also was trying to wait so that way I could watch this. But either way, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.